tree kangaroo. Doing Jim? The other guy. Hello. Here's the koala. And here's the wallaby. Kind of hanging out there, long tail. Pretty face. Oh, there he goes. He goes. Oh, cute little guy. Here's the wily camel.
Well, guess what, folks? Bush dogs are ferocious hunters. They hunt in packs. You're probably thinking, well, she must be a ferocious hunter when she grows up, right? Nope, she's grown up right now. She's full size. She's about 13 pounds and she's 6 years old. They will hunt in packs. Those packs will number anywhere from 10 to 12 animals. What they do is they go and search for that prey. Believe it or not, Mulberry and about 8 of her buddies can bring down something that weighs as much as 100 pounds. How do they do it? Well, they ambush their prey. Now, how do they know where each other is in order to hunt cooperatively? Well, they have a rather unique vocalization, and we're going to see if she'll do that for us right now. You got your food swallowed? Is it swallowed? You sure? Let me see. Uh-huh. Okay. Laugh! That a girl Mulberry. Now, believe it or not, that vocalization is extremely effective throughout the rainforest. After all, they do have to let each other know that dinner is about to arrive. Now, where's the second half of the pack? Mulberry, all the way down here? Well, they are at the nearest river or stream. You see, what happens after a bush dog has ambushed their prey, they drive it towards the water, they get the prey in the water, then the entire...
Yes, indeed, this little guy's name is Kasut, and he is a North American river otter. The first thing that we're going to ask this little guy to do is go for a little swim right here in the front moat, all the way over here and into the water. Now I'm going to toss little pieces of food up and down the moat for this little guy. I'd like you to notice just how he makes his way to the food. An otter will use their rear feet to propel himself through the water. They'll use their tail as a rudder. An otter could swim about 7 miles per hour, and they can hold their breath under the water for about 4 minutes. So they're perfectly adapted for life on land as well as living in the water. And believe it or not, folks, otters don't naturally know how to swim their skin wet because their fur is very dense. Kasut, we're going to ask him to demonstrate a rubbing and drying off behavior right over here in the pile of dry shavings. Now in the wild, an otter would find a pile of dry leaves or grass to perform this behavior in. You ready? Dry off. Oh, very good. Just headed right to the shavings. That's exactly what we like to see. So I'm going to go ahead and reinforce them here real quick. Then we'll go ahead and ask him to go into the shavings. Now, by moving around in the shavings, he's going to be allowing the shavings to absorb some of the moisture as well as distributing his natural body oil throughout his coat. If we were to leave him in the shavings for about 3 minutes, his coat would get completely dry. This rubbing around is a very efficient way for an otter to take care of their fur. Kind of looks like he's been rolled and shake and bake, doesn't it? Well, otters are very successful hunters in the wild, which means that they have a little bit of time just to fool around. We're going to ask this little guy to demonstrate a behavior called tobogganing. Now, in the wild, an otter would find some ice or mud. They'd make a little run for themselves, and from a running start, an otter can reach speeds up to 30 miles per hour doing this tobogganing behavior. But here at the zoo, we use plastic tubing. Okay, all the way over to the rocks. Attaboy, all the way up onto those rocks, and let's see a great big otter slide. Kasut, come on, we're going to try this one more time. This is otter fun! Very nice! And you can applaud for him because he's being a good otter.
Sure. This is our 3-year-old Bintron. This is Shaymao. She's kind of unusual looking, isn't she? Kind of looks like she's been put together by a committee. You know, Bintrons are arboreal animals, so of course they have adaptations that allow them to move easily and swiftly through the trees. Well, Shaymao is going to demonstrate some of those adaptations as she climbs our simulated rainforest over here. Now, Bintrons have nice squishy pads on their feet, nice long claws that enable them to climb very easily. They will use their tail to help them balance. Now, most animals use their tail to balance if they're arboreal by holding it up in the air and swinging it side to side. Well, what did Shaymao do with her tail as she walked down along that branch? Well, we'll show you again so you can get a real close look. What's she doing? Doesn't look like she's doing much of anything, does it? But she is. She's dragging her tail. Notice that? There's a reason for that. That's because she has a prehensile tail. That means she has muscular control over that tail. If she should lose her balance, she can grab onto the branch with her tail in order to stabilize herself. So that's why she'll drag it right along the side of it. Now, a Bintron can't support their entire body weight with their tail, but the tail is an extremely important appendage. Consider this. Shaymao weighs 32 pounds. Her tail weighs approximately 15 pounds. Yeah, Bintron's tail is close to 50% of their body weight. Now, Bintrons have a nickname. The nickname is Bear Cat. You can probably figure out where the cat part comes in with those nice long whiskers. You know, she has tufted ears like you'd see on a bobcat or a lynx. But where do you think the bear part comes in? Well, she's going to show you as soon as she's done munching. Okay, you ready? Here we go. You have to look over here at Mark, though. Because look at all those people. They're looking at me. It's only fair I get to look at them. There we go. All the way up. A great big black bear! Demonstrate that climbing talent one more time as she scales our freshly planted simulated rainforest tree. Now, as she goes up this tree, you're going to notice she has absolutely no difficulty doing it at all. But I guess if you've seen cats climb, you know cats wouldn't have a problem with that, right? I mean, after all, cats can climb up the furniture, the drapes, or the tree in the backyard. But when a cat gets up in a tree, where do they get into trouble?
Coming down.
Back down. When a cat comes out of a tree, they have to back down. Look over their shoulder. They can't see where they're placing their feet. It's very slow and uncomfortable. Well, that's not so for Bintrons. Bintrons have an adaptation that allows them to rotate their hind feet at 180 degrees. Why would that be important? Well, watch as she comes out of the tree. She rotates those hind feet. She gets to come down head first. Look how the tail helps. Makes for a speedy exit right out of the tree and right off stage. There he is. This beautiful cat's name is Rumao, as Joe mentioned, and he is a clouded leopard found in parts of Southeast Asia, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and parts of the Malay Peninsula. These cats are extremely rare. There's only about 250 of them found worldwide in captivity. Now, if you were on the forest floor looking up into the upper tree canopy, this cat would be virtually invisible for you from the ground. He has beautiful spots on the top of his head, stripes running down the back of his neck into those very large muted spots, which is the reason that they are called clouded leopards. They look like clouds to someone way back when, hence the name. Right now? This guy has a nickname of Garfield Jr. He is a real talker. As long as you have the food, he has the time. And he is particularly fond of none other than Velveeta. He loves the stuff. Well, this particular cat is very well adapted for living in the treetops. He's very low to the ground with extremely muscular forequarters and great big paws. Those big paws have very long digits and sharp claws, enabling them to do some real tree climbing acrobatics. And this cat is very well adapted for climbing about in the treetops. Because he is low to the ground and he has those big, powerful, muscular legs, he can easily slink about on the tree limbs. And look at that nice long tail of his. It is the longest tail in comparison to the length of his body of any member of the cat family. That tail helps him out in the way of a balance beam so that when he moves about from limb to limb, he can secure his balance. He cannot, however,
ever use it in the same way as a prehensile tail. This cat's forte in life is leaping and jumping. They are so good that they can jump literally 30 feet straight down onto the back of their unsuspecting prey. That's the equivalent of jumping off of a 3-story building. These cats are capable of taking down prey much larger than themselves, oftentimes the form of an Asiatic wild boar, which would weigh right up around the 200-pound range. He has a special adaptation in the form of very large canine teeth that are 2 inches long. And with those big teeth and jumping from great heights, they're able to take down prey much larger than themselves. We'd like to simulate this interesting jump, but we're not going to have him leap off the roof because Joe said she wouldn't catch him. But we will try to convince Ramau to jump over here to this beam. Are you ready? Attaboy, and he makes it look nice and easy from that. And it actually is pretty easy, other than this cat had bilateral cataract surgery 2 years ago. Cataract surgery means that cataracts essentially, that grubby paw down. It takes 3 of you, somebody to hold the cat with a towel, somebody to hold their paws, and then somebody to squirt the gook in their eyes. Well, this guy is so good that if you happen to have Velveeta cheese, you can do anything you want. Hold the cheese in one hand and squirt the stuff in his eyes. Very cooperative. He put up with that 6 times a day for more than 4 months. And as a result, we're very happy with the results. This guy can now see again and seems to be doing very well on his own. We also have a motto with Ramau that we try to adhere to, and it goes something like this. When you're out of cheese, you're out of time.
Nicely done, Desiree. Now, if Desiree were out in the wild, she would have one thing on her mind, and that would be to keep the food that she had just caught. She would be doing a behavior called mantling. She would have her wings and tail feathers spread out over the food in an attempt to hide that food from any other bird of prey that might be in the area. Now, why would a red-tailed hawk do that? After all, they are one of the most successful birds of prey. Well, with every 100 attempts they make at making a kill, they're usually successful only about 17 times. Desiree, of course, is successful 100% of the time here at the zoo, so she doesn't feel she needs to do any mantling. Now, could she actually see the food on my... Oh, wait a minute here before we go on. Especially those of you in the front row, you have some real strange faces right now staring at what she's eating. Can you tell what it is? Yeah, it's chick. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's be honest here, folks. How many of you eat turkey at Thanksgiving? How about fried chicken? Chicken McNuggets? Hearts or parts? Now, all joking aside, it's very important for Desiree's health and nutrition that she receive here at the zoo something that's very close to what she would get in the wild. Now, could she really see the food on my glove from way up there? She sure could, and we have a way of showing you just how keen a red-tailed hawk's eyesight is. We've taken the front page of our local newspaper and tacked it up onto one of the eucalyptus trees over here on the far hillside. Now, from where you are, if you were a red-tailed hawk and you could read that newspaper line for line. Some of you are still looking for the tree.
Take a look at one of them. It's like a dog. Alpine chamois. It's nap time at the zoo. Rocky Mountain goat.
Yeah,
2 of them.
and there was a sorrel
Here's the tail end of one.
right ahead of us as we were going down the trail. The guys, the locals, I was waiting to find a show it to
Here's the baby. Hi, baby giraffe. There's lots of other giraffes here. Hello, giraffe. There's a whole slug of giraffes. Follow this guy over here. See what this guy's up to. Eating a little bit of branch here. That guy's really tall. Like they're frozen almost.
Here we have a Patagonian cavy. They're standing awfully still.
Go head up.
Oh, there comes one.
East African bongo.
An East African bongo. Hey! Here we have the sea lions. And who can tell me the difference between a sea lion and a seal? Earlobes.
Sea lions use
Flippers,
their
yeah.
flippers to walk.
And what was the other thing? The noise?
Yeah, the noise.
They make more of a bark, is that right? And the seals do the other. It's like it's nap time. Arr, 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 arr. 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 Arr, arr. We had one talking to us a little bit ago. Arr, arr, arr. Well, that was good. He stops every time I turn the camera on. Arr, arr, arr. Arr, 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 arr. Arr, arr, arr.
Do it again. He almost opened his.
Arr, arr. Arr, arr.
More.
Well, they're not cooperating. Arr, arr, arr.
It worked. It did work. We know
I
that.
know, the other two times as soon as I did, he barked. Well, goodbye, sea lions.
So it goes down.
Here's the polar bear. He was just standing up against the wall.
Go in the water.
See if he'll take a swim.
Man, to get the video.
Go for a dip.
The thing don't even look, man.
Hey, it's gone again.
Come on, go in the water.
You want to jump? 8. That's what he told us.
Watch, as soon as I turn this off, he'll go in the water.
1,500 pounds for a male.
Have they gotten in the water yet?
Nope.
See, there's the polar bear. It takes right alongside.
Hello, big brown.
I wonder if we could get it going to the back. No, I'd like to see what.
You can see that power.
Oh yeah, polar bear. In the shower. So I'd like to see how they. If it's like a dog. Oh, look at it.
Oh, it's going in. Does it want to go in?
This is a Manchurian brown bear, and they find them in Korea. Looks like he's taking a little snooze.
This must be an Asian elephant. I can
Here
tell
we
it by
have
its
an
smaller
elephant.
size and smaller ears.
And we're at the San Diego Zoo. Looks pretty calm. Very nice. Very, very nice.
He just picked up a rock.
Look at its trunk.
I want to see this guy.
Ears. His tail.
Oh, there's one elephant. There's some other ones. Here we have another elephant. And let's see, Kazim. Oh, what's he playing with?
Kind of tough to swing on that, isn't it?
Oops. And it's kind of hard to see him. There he is. Playing with a wood toy. Huh.
It looks like a tire swing for elephants.
Coming to us. It's got a white foam. Here's the rhino.
Look at that.
White foam inside.
Yeah, see? Look at the
Taking
foam.
his mid-afternoon nap.
I wonder if that's poison. Not that I see it. Look at it, it's foaming. It's really sticky.
There's Emily. Aaron. Bob. We're getting about ready to call it a day. We're all tired out.
Mom.
He's busting. Firefly pressure.
Aaron is in the zoo.
Go.
Well, I was supposed to say something, so I didn't really give it any preparation, but we were obviously we want to, you know, say that we're all delighted. I think we can safely say that we're all delighted to be together as a family for Mom, the matriarch of our family, and to celebrate with her 75th birthday. And you know, I was thinking about you. I really been thinking about the trip a lot. Really been looking forward to it because it's been a while since we've all had a chance to get together. And I was just thinking. I went to lunch one day with one of my colleagues, and I guess I started talking about the trip. And I was just saying, you know, it's really amazing when I think about my mother. I have nothing but good thoughts, you know, about her. I can't think of anything that ever made me unhappy. I mean, there are times when she was stern with me for things that I did, but you know, my sense of unhappiness with you was very momentary because you were always so good to us as children, I think. You know, so I have nothing but very, very positive thoughts, loving thoughts of you, Mom. And I assume that Bob feels the same way, and of course the grandchildren I know feel that way towards you. And so we're delighted that we could all be together for this birthday to celebrate and to show you that we love you very much and appreciate all the years of devotion and caring that you gave us. So this is your day, and we're pleased and happy, delighted to be with you.
Ditto.
I guess
Ditto. That's right.
you bear testimony, you and Bob and your families and grandchildren bear testimony to something. What's the old saying about something falls from the oak tree? Or?
Yeah, Rose Bogus
The acorn never
says
falls
that
very far from
when,
the oak
when we're
tree.
talking about you boys and your the
Yeah,
families.
that's what Roy always
She
says
always
too.
says the acorn doesn't fall far from the oak tree,
That's
which is a
reassuring.
very flattering
So
thing to
carry
say.
on
Yeah.
the tradition, and you guys do, huh?
So Mom, do you have anything to say?
No, I'm speechless. No, I'm very touched. I almost feel like I was going to cry a little bit, but I'm not.
So,
No, it's nice. I'm obviously I'm thrilled that we could all be here together. I mean, this means so much to me, considering that we haven't been together like this for so many years. And to be with the grandchildren. I wish the boys were here. That's the only thing that's missing are the
Yeah.
3 boys. But I've had cards from the 2 boys. I'll show them to you if you'd like to see them. I'm not sure about Matt Reed.
Did you get one from Mason? You got one from Mason?
He called the other night. Or,
He's got a card. I
he
don't
called
think I
you
got
here,
it.
sure
Yeah.
you talked to him.
you know,
Yeah,
he
he's
said
got a
he was going
card.
to call again, and I said, well, don't bother. You know, this is fine, because he took care of it then. But it's been a wonderful time for me. Just really wonderful. That's all I can say.
I look forward to the 80th.
Family is a big thing with us. Our
Oh,
health,
it is, sure
family
it
and
is.
health. That's you know when you get
That's right.
older, well, that's
Well, even when we were younger,
yeah.
we enjoyed our
I don't know
family.
where it went, but it went.
I know, it
There's a lot of memories as we
Very thrilled.
registered tonight, trying to remember what happened.
was very thrilled to be a mother, I'll tell you. You know, it was something I wanted to be. Wasn't so sure I would, considering some physical problems. But
You guys were older too.
sure, well, we got married when we
Yeah,
were
you were
older.
30 when 31 when you had me.
I think
29. We decided
Yeah,
that
we
you
decided
29.
29
I mean,
because,
I'm 45, and if you're 75, it's
yeah, but you were, but it was the following year,
Right, so
March,
it's 29.
from July. I'm trying to diminish the age.
You're younger.
Make
It's
myself
working, Mom.
younger.
It's working.
No, we were, well, considering what couples wait for these days in their 40s.
Yeah, it's true. It's a little more common now for older couples to have kids.
But we weren't too young when we got married. We were waiting for each other.
I was waiting, yeah,
Yeah.
I was waiting. Finally, somebody
They brought
said,
us
somebody
together.
said,
Careful!
Did I drop?
Okay,
No.
no, you didn't.
That's all right.
I'm trying to get this out.
That's all right, I
You
know.
can't see
You didn't
Dad's
know it-
face.
You didn't know it was there.
It's funny how things work out. I had all these jobs where I just couldn't find something I really wanted to do. I think I had 4 jobs in 3 months. And I finally went to the Jewish Vocational Office, because by then I was really at the end of my rope. And they suggested I make an appointment with the
Meatpackers?
union. And Dad started there in February, or were you there in February? Or I did a month later anyway.
You came a month after Dad started?
Yeah, about a month.
Meatpackers,
We were
right?
married the following October. So that was a short romance.
That same October or the following?
No, same year.
October.
Yeah, she
So you
was
knew
very
him for
swishy.
like 7-8 months.
Yeah, well, we were working together. You know, we saw a lot of each other. And I thought he was pretty nice. He went to Washington for the union one weekend before we were married.
You went away on a
And I
weekend
really-
before you were married?
Yeah, I went to Washington on the job. And I really missed him. And then one morning when I was back at the office, I could hear him whistling. He had just come back. He whistled a lot in those days. And it was like music to my ears
didn't
to
work
hear
with
the
your
whistling. But he was back.
You don't whistle much anymore, do
No. He used to whistle in 2, what do you call it in
Oh,
music?
2 tones or 2
Yeah,
notes at a time.
yeah,
Mhm.
two different, yeah. Show me how you do that. I don't know how to do it
I
anymore.
lost my touch.
Not really, honey.
Well, we've been pretty lucky.
Oh, we have one.
So, wished everybody could be as.
you?
So,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here, yeah.
I had a
We'll have to
very
get-
happy
Can I close
family.
the
My
door?
parents
Sure.
were very, very wonderful, and all my, relatives were not like yours, really, in terms of the way you gather together, but it was good, strong family relationship. And we were all, most of us in Chicago, so it was very nice to grow up there. So I think that helped a lot, having a loving parents that I had.
Uncle Lester was a good big
And he
brother.
was a wonderful brother, just wonderful. He was almost paternal, he was so lovely to me.
Yeah.
I didn't have a
Protective.
father, but he was just very protective, considering that I was bratty when I was a little kid. Every time he'd look at me, make him the ogre. You know what I mean, Erin? He's still that way, still calls and wants to know how I'm feeling and really wants to know. He doesn't say, how are you, or, really cares.
So Grandma and Grandpa were pretty special too.
They were, really. Grandpa called you a lover boy from the moment you were born, and I don't know how old you were when you stopped.
Yes.
But David, when he had the heart attack and he was in the hospital, that was in '71. So what year were you then? You started
Senior.
in
Last year of
Senior.
66.
college.
Yeah.
I
You
graduated
came
in
to
spring of
see him,
'71, so did the
And
other.
you brought a bottle of vitamin E,
Yeah.
because at that time you had learned that vitamin B was very helpful for the heart.
Heart, yeah.
And you asked his doctor if it was all right to leave it, and I guess he said it won't hurt. He didn't say anything positive, but he didn't tell David not to leave it. And more recently, I have read that vitamin E is,
Yeah, it's an antioxidant.
and this is 23 years or so ago.
Was that '71? So that was after I
Sure,
graduated?
he died in '71.
Well, you remember what time of the year? It must have been after graduation.
Well,
because
we
he was
had that
there.
party at the,
Yeah, I remember the picture. There was a
President
picture of Grandpa, I think, and me and you at Antioch. So I
sure,
know- so
we
that's
got
it.
it at the house.
We got the
yeah.
house, so I knew it was graduation.
I'm trying to think, oh,
So it must have been later. that he had a heart
It
attack.
was that
yeah,
year.
Carol,
Yeah.
He always said that he wanted to live
Sure.
long enough to see our boys graduate from college.
Yeah,
He said
yeah.
that early on when they were much
Yeah.
younger. Meant a lot to him.
considering a very little education himself.
He was self-educated. He did a good job of self-educating himself too,
Yeah.
considering.
Horatio Alger stories. He was,
Really?
you know, in his own right, a Horatio Alger story. He didn't have anybody to give him any much to.
Sort of typical a lot of the
Immigrants,
immigrants that came
yeah.
over, you know,
Just
hard
hard work,
work and get ahead. Well,
It was really to take a risk too. He left a job where he was employed at a good tailoring company to go into his own business in a neighborhood that was completely foreign to all of us.
Invest in the stock market back in the 20s when your average working class guy didn't invest in stocks. No, that took a lot of.
We took a beating on that, but he
Yeah.
recovered.
Yeah,
But I had a mother
yeah, Grandma
who
was
really
pretty.
supported everything he did and worked very hard
Yeah,
to help him
yeah,
succeed.
yeah, she was pretty special too.
Okay, end the show.
Okay, enough reminiscing.
Yeah.
Nice memories.
Just thrilled to have.
Amy, do you want to
Presents?
Give
Wanna give
gifts?
It
presents?
went too fast. Yeah.
do you want to give the
Okay.
gifts?
What
I'm
should I
gonna
open?
grab her presents and give
What
them
should
You
I
give
open
her.
first, Tammy? Do you want to tell me which one to open?
Take her, go and give them to her. Hand them to her.
Do you want to hand me the first one?
You need the assistant now.
Huh?
You can assist. You can
Then
help
Aaron
Grandma.
can help too if he wants to.
Oh no.
Okay.
Okay. What do you have? A few
Thank you
words?
for the card, Aaron. I'll read it more in detail.
It's
than
from
I-
Emily too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, thank
Yeah,
you.
let me see. it.
It's
Thank
got
you.
all the background of the 1919 video.
How'd you find that, Aaron?
Oh, really?
Very tricky.
Things were happening in 19.
Could you hold the card up for the camera?
1919. Yes, 1919.
It's a special
It was a
year.
very good
19.
year. I think the war was over in 18, November 11th.
Was a
Yeah.
special year.
Armistice.
Could you open the card up?
So they're probably doing the League of
Can you
Nations.
zero in on that? Love, Aaron.
Love,
And
Aaron.
Emily,
And Emily.
take your finger away.
I love you from Emily. Have a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's got
Have
a.
a blast.
She's happy birthday. Our talented grandchildren. President Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah.
Vice President Marshall. I didn't know that.
Pretty wrapping paper.
Yeah, this is from the.
Prohibition becomes effective 1920.
The drugstore does this wrapping. The drugstore at Nautilus. I recognize it.
Yeah, it's nice paper.
Uh-huh. They gift wrap there.
Who's it from?
The
Wilson.
Cotman's Lou, the Lion in May.
Oh,
yeah.
Here.
You guys forget the name.
We're back on live.
They're flowers. They're note cards.
Cards. Oh,
Can I see?
very pretty.
They're all different. No,
Oh,
they're not.
beautiful.
They're all the
The same.
same.
Beautiful.
I'm
They're
sure.
not pretty though.
They are. Who? Let's see the
That's-
back. Who are they by?
Talk about
This is by Gretchen. Original watercolor. Beautiful.
Isn't that interesting?
Oh,
Look at
that's
these
lovely.
beautiful
Yeah.
flowers here.
Yeah.
a file, nail file. It has a toothpick. It
You
has a
did
tweezers.
that with Rick. You did that with Rick one time.
No,
remember?
no, here it is.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Is that gorgeous?
You know, I wanted to, a couple things we wanted to get you.
What is it?
It's a
It's a planter.
A vase,
Could you
a vase, a
show,
planter.
lift it up for the
Hold it
camera?
up in the
Yes,
camera.
hold it up so Bob can see it's beautiful.
So you remember when I went to my first co-op jobs, I gave you some ceramic things from New York, like the Museum of Modern Art
Yeah.
gift shop. I think there's a couple of pottery things you have at the house that I gave you as presents.
Still got it?
Yeah, I think Mom still got them. And one's a raku pot. So I wanted to get you a piece of ceramic, and we went to look at the pottery store, and then, what's the beat?
Let me just see. Hold it up again. Leave it there for just a moment.
Focus? Zoom?
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
After you, man.
Tell the story about when you did that and your teacher didn't like it very much, Charlie.
What did you do?
No? You don't want to tell him?
1919.
What teacher?
What'd you
Grade
do?
school?
Well, he and some boy went through this after you, Alphonse.
Going
you know.
into the teacher, the last one to ring the bell after you.
What's
after-
that? What's that taken from?
Gaston, after you, Alphonse, or Gaston, I don't know what it's from.
Was it a
I don't
movie
know if it's a
thing?
play or
I don't
it's
know.
something that people
And so you were
refer
sort of
to.
mimicking it and doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were kidding around and the teacher didn't think it was very
Teacher was
funny.
standing there waiting for us.
We do that all the time at school.
So
They
she
don't
sent
be
us to
like,
the principal.
do this stuff all over.
So what, did she
Sammy.
punish you?
Oh, sure.
What'd she
I have a
do?
Papa
Oh, I
book
don't
for
know
you.
what happened.
Her Papa book.
They don't pop up that much. They got a
Oh,
little
these are
sweet.
cute, Emmy.
This
I
is
love
homemade
swimming.
presents.
I love you, and,
Why don't you read it, Em?
oh.
Why
Oh,
don't
that's
you
so,
read
no,
that?
no,
Yeah,
that's
it
just some paper he is.
Okay,
I
those are-
like flowers, but I like you better.
they're very nice.
I can read
Wasn't there
it.
one something like that sugar?
I like the tree, but I like you better. Oh, honey, that's so sweet. I like books, but I like you. The end.
Okay, you wanna read it for camera?
My pop-up book for you. Love from Emily. I love swimming and I love you.
Did you do the pictures?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Good.
I
I
love
wish you could get-
flowers, but I like you better.
Hold up, Em, so I can see it. Thanks.
I like trees, but I like you better. And I like books, but I like you.
Just you.
Very
Good job.
good.
Very nice.
The poets.
And it's funny, she put a little card in here, and this way it says, oops. It sounds like she started to write it at that end, and then she turned it over and wrote happy birthday, I love you from Emily, and there's about 6 hearts underneath.
I'm not sure if this will stay together because
What does it say?
is this one?
This
Oh,
is
Panache of Meloria.
Panache, oh, sweet. Very nice.
Mm. Oh, it's a bird,
See, that's your birds, they know you like birds.
isn't it?
Oh, no, it's
a
a
bird
letter.
cage.
It's a letter, yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that cute?
Isn't that cute?
Isn't that
She
sweet?
knows
Yeah,
I
she knows you like birds. She
Yeah.
got her a bird once before. It was made out of a dried mushroom. It was very novel. Isn't that cute?
Helen, Dorothy.
That's lovely, yeah.
Right then, Helen.
Yeah.
Is Helen the one?
She's next door here.
She's
Short
the one
of
that gave
what
us
time
the
is it?
chocolate
She's the
kisses.
short lady.
Yeah.
It's from Erin.
Gorgeous, sweet grandma.
Isn't that cute? Gorgeous, regal, amazing, nurturing, dazzling, marvelous, astonishing. Happy birthday. That's
Isn't
cute.
it cute?
That's cute, Erin.
Look at
You got-
this. She's got an I heart you.
Love you,
I
yeah.
love you. Erin.
That's very, very.
Could we
You got a,
Show to the camera.
you
take
got
a look?
You got a
Well, I
great.
had help with the
Turn
words from Dad.
Turn it all the way to the camera when you're
I
done.
can't see it.
I know, but I want to read it.
Oh,
I can't read it.
you know it by heart.
Letterman can do that. Why can't
What
you?
was I gonna say? You got a good vocabulary, Erin.
We'd like the top 10th
I wish
list
it were
now.
all true, but that's beautiful.
Cute, very cute.
That's a cute idea.
Thank you.
I'm looking at you too.
We're on live.
Oh, what do you
Friday Night Live in
got?
San Diego.
Ooh, ooh, Shay, ooh.
What do they say in the book?
Oh,
What do
it's
they say?
beautiful.
My mom
Love it.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
My mom made
Colors.
Beautiful.
their paints.
Emmy, I made this.
Yeah.
Did you make
I
this?
didn't make the outfit, but I put the
You
paint,
did the embroidery,
the
huh?
paint stuff on it.
Could we get a look at the?
Gonna
How
try it
did I do
on.
that?
It's called paint stitching. It's
Sequence?
little paints and you make each little blob and it looks like beads.
Geez,
But
they
it's
look
made
like
with
Can you see
sequins.
it?
With
look like sequins.
thread.
No.
Could
it's
you hold it
paint-
up
it's a
again?
paint- It's a
It's
little
sequins.
thing.
After
Hold it
this,
up.
I should think.
Hold it up.
It's a special kind
Is
of
that
paint
cute? I
in a
love
little
it.
tube
Oh,
yeah,
and you
it's
just squeeze
pretty.
it out.
There's the pants.
What do the shorts say?
They've just got some little bloopy things.
Oh, the
Oh,
same thing.
that's beautiful,
That's pretty.
Yeah,
Rosemary.
that's a new.
Mwah.
So you're just saying you paint that on?
It's little drops of
Drops.
paint. Yep.
And it looks like it would come
Will
right
it
off.
wash off?
No, it's not supposed to.
We'll find out.
I'll put
I
it
think
inside
that-
out.
Don't take a bath in it.
And not in the dryer.
Did you sort of freehand this too as you did it?
I had a pattern for the
That,
dots.
that you
yeah.
could kind of.
Yeah.
It's very, very symmetrical.
Did you pass it, Mo?
Sure.
So I know.
I don't know.
This rock
Beautiful rosemary. That's really
from
nice.
us. That's
You
from
get it?
Me?
Well, don't try. You want to try to save the paper or not?
Oh, I don't know. I don't like the cherry one.
That's really nice. Beautiful.
Do you buy it in a clothing store, or is that something?
Well, you know, the
That
gifts
was like
that you make,
candy.
Rosemary, are even more special.
Fabric.
Because you did them.
Thank you. Yeah, like it. Well,
That box that you gave
you know, and it took us just a little bit to
Oh,
Rick.
Rick,
get the hang of getting it to come out, and then you could just kind of, because it comes with the real pointy.
I tried that
The
on
way the
your...
point is, you just,
I
once
tried
you
it
get
on
to
your
it, it kind of goes.
I always get them to a point and
that's good.
oh, that's neat.
You got a lot of box up
I
here.
can't just try it sometimes.
I think they have
All that
stockings.
We bought a new roll of Scotch tape that day. We wanted to
That
get
was
that.
fun. We scribbled all
Ooh.
I had it all.
But it
Well,
was
you're pretty well fixed up now, huh?
That's
Yeah.
That's a beautiful color, isn't it?
You would, I think, you know, because it's the way
You
that.
guys are
Ooh.
something else.
Oh, that's
Hey,
pretty.
Grandma, it kind of looks like my
Isn't
shirt.
this great? I can get some
Oh.
clothes. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you very
Maybe
much.
you won't wear
I'll
your dress
model
tomorrow,
them
huh?
later.
Yeah,
That's very
Seriously, the
nice.
teal and the plum,
Oh,
the
this is
purple.
so
pretty,
pretty.
lovely.
Our favorite colors in a
Yeah,
way.
they're lovely
Yeah.
colors.
Feel the softness.
No, I know it.
Huh,
Very nice.
that's great.
Yeah, beautiful.
Happy birthday to you.
Just a second.
Oh! Oh!
Wow.
Shake hands.
Don't, don't get them on the clothes.
No.
Burn up the clothes.
They're the ones that don't go out.
Stop!
Your birthday will never be over, Mom.
I wondered when that happened, if that was, yeah.
How long do they? Is it like 50
Are they
pounds?
all?
I don't know.
There you go.
There's
Well,
3 or
see-
4 of them in there.
They
Well,
keep-
they still are orange. See, these are the ones that are bad. Baddies.
The more you blow it, it's like, the more
The more it, yeah. Okay, dude.
You're going to be out of breath, Grandma.
No
It's
kidding.
just smoke.
Enduring.
It's very cold, so I don't know.
There.
I can always change.
Here we're getting a view of the flowers.
I was going to buy white, and then I remembered that she has a couple of white
Kate coming
pants, so...
through. Kate coming through.
Okay.
We're going to get a view of the flowers from the top and now from the back.
Individual flower.
Have you ever been in that flower shop, Adelaide? Did we
Just-
go in?
I didn't make it down there yesterday,
Finally from the
but Frost and I
side.
went in yesterday.
Oh.
We were
Hey,
there.
Dad,
Huh?
Dad.
So if you don't like this is Velcroed in. So
The
you
shoulder
can just-
pads?
Oh, that's
shoulder pads,
good.
can
Yeah,
take
then
them
you
off.
can wash it, yeah.
What kind of cake is this, Rosemary?
Pillsbury, of course.
If you mention that, do you get a,
With the new frosty.
Chocolate cake with the new Oreo what's it
This
called?
is new products, the Oreo frosting is new.
Frosting is new.
Plus cake, pudding in the pie, no in the cake.
Oreo?
The new RTS, ready to spread.
Like an
It's
Oreo
the ready
cookies.
spread frosting, and it's got Oreo cookies.
In there.
Is it an
is-
acronym?
Is like a spatula.
Ready to
You
spread,
know, like the
RTS. huh?
RTS, ready to
Oh, an
spread.
acronym.
No, it's over.
I will do it.
Okay.
There's some plates up, and there's some,
I think she is, let's see.
Very good.
Pillsbury cake, huh? Did you bring that with you? Did you buy it?
No, he picked it up.
the
last
bake
year
off.
when he went to get the grapes.
This?
That's right. Thank
That's-
you. Maybe that'll help.
Oh, they got
Bake
paint on it,
off.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to make those.
Now we're zooming in on the cake.
The first one is always the hardest.
First
You
one's
also
going
did
to
it
be
with fork,
Grandma's.
right?
Yeah, well, that's too wide.
That spatula's too big.
I know, but I don't have anything
Now a
better.
picture of Mom's butt.
What are you doing,
Here's the
Bob?
So you gonna turn that in for a project?
This is a cake from the aerial view.
Wanted.
Aerial
You gonna plate over
Plate
here?
over
Yeah,
there.
be quick
Plate,
with the
give her
plate.
plate.
The other way.
Get
Okay.
underneath.
Sorry
So
about
there's
that.
2 plates
Here you
there.
go.
Who's going to eat the first piece?
2
Well,
plates there.
Emma, you can have the first one.
No, that's too big.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you a smaller piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, is this one? Here, this is a double one.
Here we're zooming in on the first
Really,
piece,
it's not that
Yeah.
hard.
and that's all. Norma Mater, this is your life. Here we are at La Jolla Palm Inn, March 4th, 1994, to celebrate Norma Mater's 75th birthday with her husband Harvey and a group of contestants. We'll start down here, and I would like you to give me your name, some important information about yourself and your relationship to the celebrity.
Should I?
Please.
I'm Nasim, and I'm Grandma's granddaughter. What else should I say?
Anything you'd like the world to know about you?
About me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad to be here with everybody.
Okay. Contestant number 2.
Well, my name is Farzaneh. I'm mom's daughter and daughter-in-law, and I have known mom for 11 years, and she's, I could say without exaggeration, she is the most wonderful person I have ever met in my life. And that's true.
Contestant number 3.
David Mater, Norma's oldest son. What else do you want to know?
Anything you'd like to tell me?
Well, I'm delighted that we could all get together for Mom's birthday. This was, Dad's kind of, what should we say, Dad's effort, I think, on Mom's behalf, and I'm glad that it was successful. Nice to be here.
Contestant number 4.
I'm Aaron, and I'm Grandma's grandson, and glad to be here.
Contestant number 5.
I'm Emily, and I'm Grandma's granddaughter. And can I say something about Grandma, or do I have to be about me?
Whatever you'd like.
Okay. I'm glad that Grandma's my grandma.
And finally, contestant number 6.
And Grandpa's my grandma.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Mater, and I'm Grandma's daughter-in-law, and I'm really happy to be here too. She's a wonderful.
Well, I must say that if I ever talk about my family, I always tell people that our boys married girls who are as dear to me and dearer, I think, than most women would expect their own daughters to be. And I really feel that way about you both. I want you to know that. I feel very fortunate to be able to relate and to care about each other the way we do. Because I know a lot of people who complain about their relationships with their families. So I don't take it for granted. I really feel it's wonderful.
Okay, our game has 2 rounds. The first round, we'll start with contestant number 1. We're going to ask you...
What about that? That's right. You should.
And what about yourself?
Yeah, turn the camera.
Give
That's right.
Rosemary the camera.
I'll be in at the end.
Because now it doesn't look like I have only one son over there.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you going to interview your father?
Sure.
There's a
Sure.
What's
Go ahead, you're on.
Thank you. Well, this is a great occasion. We've wanted to get together many times, but I think this was probably the most auspicious of all. And Norma's birthday, I'm pretty lucky. I don't know how she tolerated me this long,
I agree.
but that's the way the ball bounces. No, so I'm glad we're all together here. I feel we're really blessed in a sense in terms of our family unit. And again, I wished all families could be this loving and caring, and I hope you'll carry on the tradition, with your families and your children's children.
Okay, we have 2 rounds in our This Is Your Life, Norma Mater. The first round is asking each contestant for a memory, special memory with Norma. And then secondly, they'll get to ask you any question they want, like how have you put up with your husband, or anything you would like to know from her. So we're going to start from the contestant number 6 and ask for a special memory antidote story?
Can you give us a few minutes to think?
Sure.
I've got one already.
Oh, contestant number 5, thank you.
Okay. My special memory would probably be coming to my family from Peru.
Coming to your family from Korea, okay.
That's nice, that's lovely.
Do you remember when you first saw Grandma?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Contestant number 6.
Well, let me think that over.
Oh, contestant number 4.
Everything with grandma is a special memory, so it's kind of hard to just put it in one thing.
Would you like to elaborate?
Can you do this over again? Because
Everything's fun. Everything's special.
Okay. We're moving down to contestant number 3, number 1 son.
Number 1 son.
Mom like you better than she like me.
I can see this game is going really well.
Yeah, well, it's 45 years, you know, it's the most special memory.
A special memory?
Well, yeah, a special. Well, I was thinking that you know, one of the hardest periods of my life was when I went through the custody struggle to get custody of Asa for my first marriage, and that dragged on for several years. And both Mom and Dad were always there. I mean, if you've never been to court and been in a position where you've been sort of cross-examined and you know, through the fine crosshairs of the legal system, and you don't know what it's like, but it's one of the most humiliating and painful experiences, because you're constantly, you know, having everything you do sort of examined, and you have to prove your worth. And so that was a very difficult, painful period for me. And Mom and Dad were always there every time I had to go to court, because it stretched out over years, over 2 years, you know. And so, you know, every time you had to go to court, it was always just unbearably awful. And Mom and Dad were always there for me, you know, which was a support that was really valuable for me to survive what I think was probably the worst period of my life. And so I'm grateful for that support during the hard times. They've always been there, which is, you know, means an awful lot.
Okay. Contestant number 6, you've been hiding from the camera.
You thought he'd forget.
Emily wouldn't let him. She was going like this with me. Okay, let's see. I was just thinking back to the first time I met you, and that was in Wisconsin.
July 4th.
July 4th.
1976.
76.
Bicentennial.
And just how special that was, and how I just felt loved and cared for by you ever since. And every time you come to visit, I think I always feel uplifted. Or I mean, when you leave, I feel like I'm the best mom in the whole world, or things like that.
You are
No,
one of the best.
but you're just real encouraging and real positive.
Thank you. Someone else.
Well, it's interesting because my best memory was also, as Rosemary said, the first time I met Mom. It was David and I met in October of '82, and David took me to Chicago for the first time to meet Mom and Dad. It was February of '83, and I was, well, you know how it is. You know, the first time you meet someone, I was so scared and shy, and I just felt so much at home with you. You know, I just felt so good. I remember we sat together and she taught me how to knit. You remember that? It was so wonderful. And, you know, as Rosemary said, I just fell in love the first time I saw her.
And I can say the same about you too. True, both of you.
Okay. How about round number 2? This is where we get to ask our celebrity any question. Oh, thank you. We missed Nasim. And Nasim is now on the spot.
Well, I would have to say that Grandma and Grandpa both were very, I don't know what the word is. All of a sudden, 3 kids were thrown into a family. And you guys were so loving to us all. It wasn't just Asa when you came to visit. You took us all in, and you really loved us, and it means a lot. So thank you.
Okay.
That's true.
Emily, do you have something you want to say? No. Okay.
Just a smile, that's all we need.
Round 2. Okay. Well, you can always come back, but round 2, you get to ask Norma and or Harvey any question that you've always wanted to know, like about, do they have the 2 best sons in the world?
When did they realize they had the 2 best sons in the world?
Or is there life after the House of Wares?
Is there life during the House of Wares?
Get a life.
Or anything you'd ever want to ask. So, is there someone that has a question that they've always wanted to know?
I just got a thing about this. You can put me to the last one.
Go ahead, Em.
Last one.
Oh.
She wants to be the last
You want to be last, right?
What?
Do you have something you want
What do you mean?
You have a question?
to say? Do you have a question?
Okay, I'll put him on the spot.
So that's all about grandma?
When will you let me move you to Evanston?
Are we under oath?
I
No?
wish I could answer
I
that.
wish we could be more positive
Yeah.
about some things than we are about others.
You're pretty,
It's
I don't
time
know
to
what
be.
word to use.
Well, we don't suffer too badly where we are, seeing we can come to Hopkins and Yellow Springs and La Jolla and Door County, and you know, I guess we got to feel we got the best. But we have good friends here, so
I
who
be-
knows? Who knows what the future will bring? But it's going to be hard to top this.
I have a hidden agenda, you see. I'd love to
Thank you,
throw things
though,
out.
for your interest in trying to encourage us to do this, because I think it would be good for us to move. And it's just out of, what's the word, when you don't do something.
Inertia.
Inertia, exactly. But
Okay.
if we do decide, I know that you'll help us.
We've got witnesses.
But the most important thing you can do is to help us throw out all the garbage.
I love to throw
Okay.
things out.
He's the good one.
I look
Good.
forward to that.
Boy, we got it. I always thought people should move every 5 years.
Well, do you remember when we downsized from
Oh, boy, do
what,
I ever.
9403 Pleasant?
Oh, terrible.
Bring your vans.
Move every 5 years and have guests every 3 months and clean up, clean up in 3 months and move and get rid of all the garbage in 5 years. That's it. We've been living there since 75.
Mhm.
It's time to move, right?
19.
You heard that, it's on tape. Okay? Questions from our audience? Anyone?
Emily does.
You have a question, Emily?
What do you need?
Question to ask grandma, something that you'd like to know?
Would you start from there and go down to here?
I think she wants to be last.
She wants to know what kitten.
I think she wants to watch
know
it.
what,
She
some
wants to be
idea.
modeling.
Some
What do
idea.
you want?
Yeah,
Yeah, she doesn't understand, so she wants to watch everybody else do it.
Yeah, she wants to see it.
What kind of questions you're asking? How personal you're getting?
How personal? Anybody?
I guess our life is an open book,
Well, I guess I was thinking, what are some of the highlights when you look back over the last 75 years? What are some of the things that stand out in your mind as, well, it could be unpleasant, I suppose, but, you know, it's always nice to look at the positive. Memories that really have been, you know, treasures.
Well, we enjoyed the performances in high school. You were both in. I always remember the night that Bob was in
Bye-bye.
Bye Bye Birdie.
Can you sing for
And
us, Bob?
we started walking to our chairs in the auditorium at the high school. And I guess it was the drama coach.
Byrne.
met
Mr.
us.
Byrne.
Yeah. And he said something to us that Bob is just incredible, or something really very, you know, positive about his performance, you know, that he really was going to amaze us, and he did. He was very good in it. And then you were in a good show. But then I think...
You died early, though.
Yeah.
Only,
You really
only
died.
the what die young, only
You
the
really
good die
died
young.
in that show.
Yeah.
But I guess when you both were accepted at the colleges, I remember more Bob's than yours, because he had a commitment to Grinnell College if he was going to go there, where he had to send in his payment.
Deposit,
And we hadn't heard from any. He applied to 4 or 5 schools, all good ones. And so I decided to call Carlton to find out whether or not they were even considering him. And I got on the phone. I was working for Children with Family Services at the time. And I called him, talked to the guy there, and I told him why I wanted to know early, because we had this other to decide on. And he said, just a minute, and a second later he came back and said he's accepted, and I could have flown off my chair, because I didn't think he was going to tell me that specifically. I thought he would just say that we were considering him. And I was, of course, thrilled that he would be going to Carlton after Dad had been there. But we were thrilled that you went to Antioch, because we thought that was a good school for you. But then
Little did we know.
we were thrilled with Asa.
You were thrilled when you got the call from Art.
Yeah, that's true. When we got through with the custody business, I got a call at the apartment late one afternoon, and it was Art.
We weren't finished with the custody, we were done with the court, but we didn't know what the
Court, you had
results
the
would be.
decision.
Yeah,
He called asking for you.
he called looking for David, because he had tried reaching him, wasn't available.
I
And
was
he
working
thought
out
that
of
we
town.
would know where he was, because he wanted to call him. And when I kept asking him questions, I realized it was because the verdict or whatever had come down on the custody. And I said, won't you tell me? And he said no, that his responsibility was to his client.
Privilege.
And I kept after him, and he finally said, David got custody. And I hung up and I started to cry. I was so thrilled. Dad walked in and he thought something terrible had happened, because I was still there, at the desk. He knew it was a phone call. I think he thought somebody had died or something. And I was just ecstatic. It was a crazy way to show it, but it was just so thrilling, because he was such a darling little boy, and we knew how much it meant to David. And that was a very happy time, too. But then, happy times were when these kids were born, Aaron and Emily came, and knowing you as daughters. I mean, these are all highlights for me, and a good relationship that we have. I really am. And the boys, too, have been very loving to us. So that's about, I guess, the highlight I can talk about. Having a husband who's good, creative, and does a lot of things that I would never think of doing. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for Dad. He really is the one that initiates a lot of the good things that we do. Anybody else? No questions you want to ask us?
Emmy.
I have a couple.
Good.
Okay.
Do you remember if my dad... That's not question. What was I going to say? I forgot that one.
One other thing that I probably should mention is that
I
I've
have
always,
one more.
always been so impressed and so thrilled, because I guess we saw more of Bob and Rosemary when the children were small than we did. I don't know why. We were more, maybe it was because Nani was still
Now,
here.
neighbors, when we
And
were in
we go to
Northfield, we
Northfield
come
to
to
see her.
Northfield, sure.
So we saw more maybe of you than we did the Ohio family. And I always was so thrilled at the way you were parenting the kids. I always felt you should be cloned, that you were just both so marvelous and the kids were so great. I think you should really recognize how wonderful you both are to the children. This isn't taking away from any of you other parents, believe me.
No, I agree with you. It's true. They really.
Because there
are
couldn't be
wonderful.
anyone more nurturing than you are, for in terms of your family and your relationships, your children.
Emmy, did you want to say something more?
Okay. This is probably kind of a silly question, but...
Talk louder, please.
Huh? Oh. Grandma, did you ever want a girl?
Yes, I did.
Good
Before
question.
your father was born,
That's a very
the
nice
doctor told me I was going to have a daughter, I think. And then after he was born, he came in and
Roberta.
said, "You have a son." And he forgot that he assured me that I was going to have a daughter.
We would have liked to have a girl like you, though, but we got you, so that's The next best thing.
And then Norma had Mary.
Yeah.
You know, she's just
So
about
they
6
broke-
months
yeah,
younger than
both.
Bob. And she had already had Ricky, and then Mary came. That was before Michael, of course. And I thought at the time that she was pretty lucky to have a daughter. But that he was the best kid there ever was, and just wasn't anybody better nature or easier to live with than he was. He was a darling
I
baby.
remember my other question. Do you remember any teachers that Uncle David and my dad had for teachers?
Those are
Yes.
very good questions.
I had a teacher that became David's teacher. Same lady in the same school. Over 30, how many years later? Well, I was, I
Remember
was
her name?
probably 25 years since I was a student when,
Yeah.
when you were born. She was still there.
And what was her name?
I don't remember now.
We should tell him about
The
Bob
red
when
light
he
is
was
blinking down.
transferred schools and he didn't want to go. And he wrote the superintendent of schools a letter protesting. And I don't recall if he ever got a response.
Willis was the superintendent.
Willis.
Right, no, he never did.
But he went to another school and the teacher there was the best teacher, I think.
You mean from Kellogg, Vanderpool Kellogg?
From
Yeah.
Vanderpool to
He
Kellogg.
didn't want to go.
He and
They
Johnny
changed
were
the
the only
school,
two kids
The
out of
boundary.
school boundary.
The boundary was 95th Street.
So they were on the wrong south
Well, we all
side.
felt bad when he
We
was.
felt bad.
Because he was the big fish in the pond there at that school, and there he was going to a school where nobody would know him.
But the teacher he had, I forget her name.
McManus.
Yeah.
She was apparently a wonderful teacher because
She
I
was-
think she helped to
She was preparing them for high school.
establish certain good habits. You worked hard for
There were
it.
some good kids, students that came from Kellogg.
Huh.
In my class, Raines and Hayner. Steve Nelson was a good student, probably as a result of her work also.
I wonder if we ever kept that letter.
I say this was the greatest developmental stage, and then the next stage would come, and that was the greatest.
It was Dr. Spock, is that who you? in
That
terms
was
of-
the Bible of those days.
And that's how you were in the developmental stages, probably, Dr. Spock. Huh?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, because we did really use his.
Now it's Dr. Brazelton, and I think
Yeah.
on TV, Dr. Brazelton,
Yeah,
from
he's a
Wisconsin,
sweet
who's
man.
a very good
Yeah.
child psychologist, developmental psychologist.
Well, here's your last chance. It's like Johnny Carson stumped the band. Anybody else have a question that they would like to ask before we wrap this up? All right, here's the last question then. How come Mater men have a propensity of changing careers? A disposition toward changing careers?
It'd be an interesting study. I don't know, I guess they are,
Well, how many times?
they don't like routine, or they break away from routine, or they keep trying new challenges, or whatever it is.
Well, how many times did Grandpa Mater do it? He was a school teacher, and then he opened the car
Station,
business?
yeah.
So that was two.
I guess.
You were a lawyer, and then you did, well, you were worked for the accounting firm, right? And then you did
Labor law, and I worked for a foam rubber firm, and I worked for a jacket manufacturer, and I worked for Arthur Anderson, and I worked for Sam, what was his name, Amy Reedman, kicking around, I kicked around a lot. We had our little mail order business, it developed into a business,
Those were hard times.
so we bummed around.
We were lucky we had my folks to help us out.
I always thought
Yeah,
it was
we were-
interesting that there was
We
a
were lucky, we came from loving families, they're quite different, but they were, loyalty, I think that's one thing I got out of my family, is loyalty. Loyalty
Well,
to
I
family.
think your sensitivity to lower class, poor, people.
Well, I grew up in the Depression and
Yeah,
saw
he's
that it
very-
deeply affected me in terms of wanting to do social, seek social justice. That's why I went to law school. I wanted to be a lawyer and, do labor work or be in politics, but I wasn't suited for it, so I still have those concerns. Do whatever I can in my own way.
So it's kind of interesting from both the Comer and Mater side that there was self-employment Grandpa Comer had his own business, Grandpa Mater had his own business. You were in a profession, Grandpa Mater was, but then you went to self-employment
I
also.
don't know why he ever got
Bobby's the
into
only one I guess who
automotive
hasn't,
business,
but
yeah.
that's what I did.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was kind of interesting. You know, used to working for ourselves, because that kind of takes a different kind of mentality to
Well,
way
it
than
takes
working.
somebody who's willing to work more than 8 hours a day, you know.
Because a lot of people think that's the ideal, you know, working for yourself.
Well,
they
if
don't
you
know.
don't have an inventory, if
They
you're
don't
just,
know. Yeah. It's idealized.
If you're small and don't have a lot of capital, it takes a
Oh.
lot.
It's idealized. People
It's hard
romanticize
in
it.
families. I wouldn't push it from my own experience.
Well, we're going to wrap This Is Your Life, Norma Mater, and we'd like to thank each contestant personally. Thank you. Thank you.
Any
Thank
prizes for the
you.
contestants?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And each contestant gets an extra piece of Pillsbury Plus chocolate cake with Oreo RTS ready to spread frosting. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Can I have a recording?
Good night.
What about Bob?
Remember, it's spelled backwards and forwards the same way.
That's true.
What about backwards Bob?
Okay, what was the first question?
First question, let's see.
Best memory of
Best memory.
Norma.
Well,
Best
remember,
memory of
moment.
Mom.
can I take a
I
picture?
think the support from both Mom and Dad during career changes. There was some indecision about what I want to do with my life. Going back to school to teach, I think, was maybe an easier transition. Another transition was quitting teaching and going to Bethel Seminary, which I know was not something that you necessarily were excited about, but you were very supportive. And then leaving the church and for a year delivering pizzas and papers, and going back to school, appreciating the support was very important.
And what is your first memory of Mom?
Oh, I didn't ask first.
That's not the question.
All right, here's my questions. I have this memory that when we were kids, we went to White Sox, Comiskey Park, and that they had chameleons as a giveaway, and that we brought the chameleons home, and that we let them out, and they ran around the house, and we lost them. Do you ever remember that?
I remember a bird.
I remember Tweety.
Tweety, I remember a bird. Was that yours?
It was Tweety at Pleasant.
But I don't remember ever taking you to a White Sox game.
Okay.
You don't remember ever
I
taking us
don't
to
do
White
it.
Sox games?
No.
We went with Boy Scouts, remember? I remember
Sure,
going
well,
Boy
I
Scouts.
say,
Maybe it was Boy
yeah,
Scouts.
sure, you went
Well,
to
you went with us when
watch
we
a
went.
football game with, what's his
Can't I
name?
take a...
Who was the
I was
Spooner? Who was
Yeah,
Spooner?
Well, that was during the high school playoffs.
That was your,
I went with Barry Yoakum to see Notre Dame Northwestern play, but
you
you
remember,
went with us to White Sox
do
games.
you remember the days with the Boy Scouts, not the Scouts, but the,
Cub Scouts?
the Scouts with the
Indians,
the reins,
Indian Guides.
the reins and so forth?
The Indian Guides were...
Was
that,
not
That
reins.
was Cub
that was
Scouts.
Cub Scouts.
Cub Scouts.
Those were the worst days when it was at our house. Those kids were so wild.
And your fraternity days, any of the guys you went to school with and so forth, you have good memories? Well, you loved your being in the play, I know, you guys,
He was a ham.
yeah, really enjoyed it. I think those are the most memorable, or I don't know. Well, I relate to my high school days, you know, my activities there in high school and college. I wish I'd
You
studied
had
more.
some good friends at college. It's too bad you lost track of them.
It's been a long time.
Toledo Mike. Toledo Mike.
Toledo Mike, yeah.
Yeah, I remember
The
him.
young couple from Wisconsin.
Tom Stain, Lorraine.
Let's hear that. What was that again? What was that again?
Echo,
Kids,
echo.
come on. You're on
Kids?
stage.
I have kids.
Please, Dad.
There's one of them.
Come on.
Kids, come on, do it.
That wasn't my song.
But that was in the song. That was
Sheldon Atowski's song.
Oh,
And
shit.
who was the... Who
Dr.
had it
Atowski.
Lynn?
Yeah, Paul Lynn.
Paul Lynn.
Paul Lynn, yeah. Yeah,
Sheldon
Goodness.
Atowski.
sure. Father's a doctor. Dr.
He's
Atowski.
probably
He had a
got
sister too, I think, and he was in my class, I think.
Yeah, I tried to get the fraternity to rush him, and
He was too fat and chubby, probably.
He just wasn't.
Fat and jump.
Material for their
Because I don't know we were ever in the fraternity.
Well, the Rosenbergs were in there. I mean, there were some Jews in that fraternity,
Well,
but
that's what I'm wondering, you were anti-Semitic?
I didn't even know he was the park there. And he had a brother, an older brother, and the mother and the grandmother used to come in the store later on.
oh, you're talking about
Matt.
Matt. Yeah, Matt was up. Well, Matt was in a different crowd. He was in kind of into
They
the.
were nice people.
Matt, what was his last name? He was from Vanderpool. He was in my class at Vanderpool.
And who started driving the car first in the car? I remember taking you to drive. Oh, we drove up in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Ended up in West Bend.
No,
You were
no,
16
not
then.
West Bend.
You
West
remember
Allis.
driving
Getting your
Milwaukee.
driver's license.
West Allison. I took you, I think, down to the
Preserve.
Preserves.
preserve and drove.
Yeah, so I remember
There's spoons that
driving.
have to go to it too.
How many?
What was it? Their
Oh,
stuff.
oh, look in the thing. Were they big spoons?
I don't know if they were big or
Turn
small.
Well, maybe.
Oh,
Okay, did you turn it up? Here we are down by the ocean. It's March 5th. And Mark and Robin and Sarah and Uncle Lester arrived today. Here's the younger crew playing on the rocks. Where are you going, Amy? Is that a cave? Nassim. And Sarah. And Aaron. This is the first overcast day that we've had since we've been here. It's been so sunny and warm. Beautiful. Where? Okay. that they're building in the sand.
A lobster. It turned out looking
There's a lobster. And there's Emily. Here's their koala bear. Yes, Em. Turtle. Snake. A fish. Yep. Yay. That's it.
That sound fair?
Thank you. Thank you.
Unlimited, this is like the house rules, unlimited time.
Limited access.
Okay.
Ready, go?
Go.
First, I'd like to make a comment about our get-together tonight, which I think is wonderful. And I'll thank Norman Harvey for this get-together. It's they're paying for it.
We'll definitely drink to that, right?
This is the best investment we ever made, don't worry.
They would not include me in sharing of the cost. At any rate, this is not what I wanted to say. I wanted to talk about. I get emotional because I want to talk about my sister.
Get emotional.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got permission.
I go back to the Second World War when I served in the U.S. Army and served overseas part of that time. And Norma unfailingly sent me packages, cookies and goodies. Even there was a special candy called Demet's Turtles. Send me. Turtles go back that far. This is 1944. Unfailing generosity, and she's been a most wonderful sister. Could have asked for a better sister in this world for her devotion and caring and loyalty. And part of that from you too, Harv. Thank you.
Uncle Lester, you didn't say where you were serving overseas when Mom and probably Grandma was sending you some good things too, like apricot cookies maybe, or some of those things that I remember. But where were you serving? You should tell everybody.
Well, several countries, and you're
with whom?
France, Germany.
What outfit were you with?
6th Armored Division.
General Patton's guys.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Mom's
It's my turn. I'm not doing this just to reciprocate and to thank you for those words.
But she is very polite.
But I could also say that nobody could have had a better brother. He was very caring, considering what we were both born on the same date, 4 years apart, and he wanted a brother very much. He was very disappointed when I came.
She didn't play baseball very well.
The other side of the coin. But he steered me through all of the areas of growing up. Even how to act if I had a date, and what to order to drink, because in those days, it was a
slow gin fizz.
It's something that was non-alcoholic, really. But just so devoted to me. He was almost paternal in a way. And we had a wonderful father. I mean, I couldn't have had a more loving father. So when we talk about, you know, growing up together, he was wonderful to me too.
Strangely, I don't remember much of what you're talking about.
I do.
Sounds
And
like
always, he'll call me on the phone from California, he'll say, I can tell you're tired, or he hears my voice, or you don't feel well, how are you? I mean, he's so intuitive about my feelings. It's just amazing to me, more than almost anybody that I am in love with, you know, in terms of family. There's just something there that he picks up so fast. So.
You're here.
to Norma and Uncle Lester.
Brother and
Yay! I'll drink to that.
The Comers.
May they long live.
The reason I like Lester is because he shares
missionaries from India.
Now, this is Emily's song. It's a song that she made up
So
herself.
you'll be dealing with patients?
I always change it every
That's
single
always with mental health
Pension
patients.
close enough?
How many patients is it in the hospital?
Okay, Uncle Lester, you got help? She's gonna make a wish. Each of you make a wish.
Okay.
Don't blow yet. Don't blow yet, Mark's way.
Wait. Let's start from that end and we'll this way, and I'll start this end and we'll go that way.
You ready, Mark? Okay. Ready, set, go. Keep going. Oh, that's good. That one. Something's fishy. It's not a salmon. Look at those. I think that counts. Just keep blowing it. That we would just take a little bit of time for those who wish to share with them a moment or an experience or something, some memory that they have of Mom and of course Uncle Lester. Not everybody knows Uncle Lester as well. Most of your friends and moms, but some of us have memories of Uncle Lester also. So that seems like a good way to be able to kind of honor them. We're not going to roast them like they do. Not dishonor them, that's right, honor them. And just sort of go around the table as anyone feels like sharing some memory, then that seems like a nice way to kind of celebrate the occasion, the evening.
You got a staircase?
Let me see. We sort of did this as a family last night, so I want to try to. Well, the thing I said about when I realized I was at work a couple of weeks ago, and I was anticipating coming to California, and I was really getting excited about getting together because all our families can be together. It's been a long time. I'd never seen Emily before, and we had a chance to be with Bob and Rosemary in such a long time, and Aaron had been really small the last time we'd seen him. Of course, it was Mom's birthday, and I started thinking about the specialness of the occasion. And it was one day going to lunch with a colleague when I started to realize that I had absolutely no unpleasant memories of my mother. That there wasn't a thought. I mean, there's times that I could recall when, in fact, she was stern with me. I would do something wrong. I remember as a college student staying out one night till 3 o'clock and coming home, and she was very upset with me, and she laid down the law and sort of let me know how displeased she was about the worry that I had caused. But even with those kinds of things, I don't remember them being done in a way that would ever really make me angry with her. I'm sure as a child there probably were tantrums that I threw, but I don't remember any kinds of experiences with Mom that are what I would consider negative. My memories are all very positive because she's always been so supportive, the good times as well as the bad times. There's a lot of sadness which I think I probably caused in my foolish youthfulness that I wish that I could, undo. Hopefully none of it very long-term or devastating, but certainly I made a lot of mistakes which I'm sure caused Mom and Dad unnecessary grief. But just to realize that I had that kind of feeling about my mother was really a lovely thing for me to realize that, I really felt like she'd been the best mom. I couldn't have asked for a better mother. Absolutely.
It tells how she feels about how important family is to her, in that she has 2 daughters-in-law, but Norma doesn't say they're daughters-in-law, they're daughters. And she feels as close to them as she would if she gave birth to both of them. And that's a tribute to all 3 of them.
All 3 of them.
A woman of valor And you'll find her in the Proverbs. Because a woman of valor, who can find? Her worth is greater than rubies. Her sons stand up and call her blessed. For good reason. She's true, she's loyal, she's caring, she's wonderful.
Absolutely. Another thing I was been praiseworthy of his intellectual capacity and his interests and his pursuits, and has had great admiration for it. And I've really felt for a long time that she hasn't really been fair to her own capacity. She didn't have the training Dad had in terms of college, and didn't have the ability to pursue careers, particularly the period of time in which she, as a young woman, was living, didn't have the opportunities that women now have today. But I really think that Mom is a person of great, not only great sensitivity and emotional awareness, but also very keen judge of character and great intellect. And I think really you don't realize your strength intellectually as well as your emotional strengths. I think you neglected to give yourself credit in that regard.
Here's up to.
How about that, Hug?
Any comments?
It's a huge store in our area called Myers. But anyway, I was there and I was standing at the line, and the lady in front of me was talking to the cashier, and she was saying, "Oh, I have the most wonderful mother-in-law you want to see." And I said to her, "You don't know what I have as a mother-in-law." I wanted to say something to her, and I was thinking about the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say. We were standing at the cashier, and we were fighting about who was going to pay for the food. And I kept saying, "I'll take care of it," And the woman in back of us said, "Would you be my mother too?"
I tell my friends at work that my mother-in-law comes, and it's so nice to go home and you don't have to cook because she has already prepared this wonderful meal. And they would all envy me. They would all, without exaggeration, they would say, "Oh, I wish I had a mother-in-law or a mother like that." But not only did you cook for us, but you always had something ready for the freezer. So long after she had left Yellow Springs, I still had food. It was really wonderful. We have helped a lot.
I couldn't have done it for any people I love more.
But somebody said to me, the food you love is the food your mother cooked. Assuming your mother could cook well, there are some others who can't, but with a few exceptions at least. And so, but because the fact is that the food that you grow up learning to like is the food that you eat as a child. And I know I felt that way about my mom's cooking. I still do when she comes to visit. It's really, for me, a thrill because she cooks the kind of food that I like.
And needless to say that there is no way that I can cook as good as
So that's why my wife is always glad to see my mother come to the house.
Friends and so forth, blessed in the sense that, I don't know, I wished everyone could have this kind of environment, and when I see kids that don't, I feel bad about it. I would love to make this a place where everyone had a comparable situation growing up, because I think when you do, the things that have happened to us have been because of other helps and so forth from others that have, we didn't do it on our own, we didn't do it on our bootstraps, and that others who don't do as well, I feel haven't had the same chances, same opportunities. I'd like to create opportunities for people to all have the same chances that we did, so that we could all enjoy the same kind of life, world, family, values.
You're trying, Howard. That's what
That's all
you're
you can
doing.
do.
And the thing is that when you and Mom came...
A lot of effort into trying to bring forth the things that you would like to see happen. You do it in a political way, maybe, however you want to pronounce, talk about it. But you're active, and you're doing a lot of good things. I like to brag about you, but you always, soft pedal what you're accomplishing. But you do a lot.
Says don't.
Bobby says do, Dad says don't.
The cameraman rules.
You'll read an article in the newspaper where there's a byline, there's a name of the person who wrote the article. If it's something in which he's interested in and would like to provoke more of this information so that it would be more widespread, he calls that person. For example, in the New York Times, there was an article by a Robin Toner the other day on health care. He didn't know how to reach her. He made several phone calls to New York to get her number, and he tried to reach her and finally did accomplish it. Talked to her, and she said, send me the information. Now, this is the New York Times. That's not a little newspaper. He's done that with other people, writers in this part of the country as well. He gets an idea and follows through, and he's constantly sending information all over, networking, sending it to, he's got a guy on the radio here he's talked to, and the fellow had a talk program that he listened to one night. He called the fellow up and said, you know, that we have this petition that we're trying to get on the ballot. Send me the information. He's had a lot of good reaction to this. And there's an organization in San Diego who's trying to attempt this. They don't do any of these things. And Harvey comes from Illinois and really innovate, you know, he really is getting these people stuff, help that they wouldn't be able to accomplish, wouldn't maybe even have the ideas, let alone the time. You know, I could go on, but these are just some small examples of what he's accomplishing.
Things for
Well,
other
yes.
people.
Yes.
Like he used to tie Ken's shoelaces and Ken maintained that I couldn't do it like her.
Her husband couldn't tie his shoelaces, even Ken was school. And Dad would tie his shoelaces, and Ken would say that Helen couldn't tie them as tight. He liked the way Helen tied his shoelaces.
He said I can't bring them home with me to tie them, so I'm sorry. You have to put up with me.
Isn't that interesting? Just a simple act of tying somebody's shoe. Her husband fell at Balboa Park 2 years ago. Was taken by an ambulance to a hospital close to Balboa, which meant it was not too close to the lodge. And we were probably the last of our group to still be around when this happened. He took Dorothy to the hospital every day to visit her husband. He didn't miss a time.
And she'll never forget.
And she'll never, well, he did it out of caring. He cared for Dorothy and Jim.
We all do for each other. We all do for each other.
Well, we don't all do it for each other. Some of us do. You do.
Some do more than others.
He does. He's a very caring person.
You're getting embarrassed, aren't you? I need to change.
I don't think you can be embarrassed.
Significant that you had the same exact birthday. And since we're giving testimonials, I would like to give a testimonial to you and tell you how much I appreciate you and getting to know you more, you know, in the last few years.
Can everybody hear Mark?
I feel real heartwarmed.
Well, I can say the same for you.
You know, coming to visit you here
And Robin has just been great.
in Chicago. You've been so gracious and kind to us.
Get to know you both better.
I have such a warm feeling seeing having the two of you together. You know, this is, I think, the real highlight
We always
of the
celebrated our
event.
birthdays together when we were, you know, younger,
Yeah.
both in Chicago.
Sure. But it's so wonderful when you got together today and you gave each other a hug.
Oh, yeah.
That was beautiful.
Couldn't have a better
My father, when he
I
speaks,
just wish he felt better.
when my father speaks of you, it's always with such love and tenderness. And when you were talking about my dad when we were visiting you in Chicago, it was likewise. And I realized how close you are. You know, seeing you together makes it even more
There
special.
wasn't any sibling rivalry. Well, I suppose when you have different sexes, you don't have it. But I don't think we ever had a time when we were. I was a brat, I think, when we were younger, and it's, you know, he looked at me in a way that I would scream, and you know, he'd get rid of it, but it never affected the way he reacted to me.
You've gotten older, you've gotten more vulnerable and more
vulnerable
in an emotional way. You let yourself kind of be more yourself, and there's less barrier between us.
I find it's harder for me to control emotions now.
Well, that's, I think, all for the best. And I appreciate being closer to you as I get older too.
Well, you've been
And-
very good to him.
And your care and your generosity towards me and my family I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
I wish I could be physically closer.
You're doing your best, son, and I thank you for it.
Yeah, it's too bad families live so far apart.
Yeah, we're far flung.
Yeah.
All over.
Norm, do you remember when you remember that club? A bunch of your girls were along, and you would have affairs, and one of your girlfriends didn't have a date. Big Shot Me was the escort for that girl.
Who was the girl?
Amy for one time.
Oh, was it Amy?
Among several others.
Oh, that wasn't too bad a date.
You remember the date, you remember her name, so it wasn't too bad, huh?
Well, Amy was a dear friend of your mom's.
It's very off the cuff, but I mean, when we spent that time in Chicago, I was just kind of blown away with just how wonderful you are.
But you were so easy to be with.
Well, you know,
it wasn't just a one, you know, we really both.
Yeah.
It's Robin's turn.
Well, it does. And I see how, you know, your daughters call you mother and stuff. And for me, it's a great loss that I never got to meet Mark's mother. And so, in a way, you make that connection for me. And besides being who you are, so that feels really good to me. And
Mom's mother would be delighted to have you for a daughter-in-law.
thank you. And Lester, it's just been, I think it's been sad in a way for me to come in on this part of your life where you're less and less able to do things. But I do feel so much your care for our family and your acceptance of me and your total embracing of what we're creating. And
Well, you're a gem in this family.
thank you. And like I remember when you had your stroke and we went down there, and and how we were on our way to the Grand Canyon on our kind of like honeymoon. And that happened, but it was such a blessing to get to be there with you.
I messed things up pretty good then.
No, you didn't at all.
It was a real opportunity.
It was just perfect that, you know, we were all packed. We were basically heading in that direction. But just to get to, you know, to be with you. I mean, and to be here tonight, you know, and this is the richness of life.
I don't know if everybody here knows, Robin and Isaac, they came in today and they're going back tomorrow. Now that's a speedy trip for all the way from San Francisco, just to come all the way down to be with us. Mark is staying for a few days with Lester, which is great. We're happy about that. I wish you could stay with us.
Well, as I told Norma, that, you know, Mark said, well, there's this thing happening, and it's both of their birthdays, 75 and 79. And we had just come back from our trip, and I said, let's go. Not a question. We want to be there. We don't want to miss this one.
Can't miss this one.
So it's totally worth it.
Nice and kind, both of you. It's just incredible.
Did you hear that, Uncle?
I didn't hear you talk.
He said you're both so kind and
Who said it?
nice.
Aaron.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Who said it?
Aaron.
Thank you.
Emmy, you want to say anything?
You're a pretty nice kid yourself.
Harvey too, I think that's it too.
Yes.
Say something clever.
That's sweet. That's
Well,
I said this last night, but it's true that with Grandma and Grandpa, it was just 3 kids kind of just were there all of a sudden. But it was never, you didn't treat us any different than you do Aaron or Emily or Asa. And it really, it means a lot to have you guys in my life, and I really appreciate your kindness and your love. And for Uncle Lester, I always remember on Christmas you always send us apricots, dried fruits, and everything, and we eat them and we love them, and I think of you, and I do remember when you came in and you visited us. But I mean, I was really young and it wasn't very clear, but I know that, you know, there's an uncle in California and he's really nice, and he sends us packages at Christmas.
It's hard for me to believe you were just a little girl sitting on my lap not too long ago.
Yeah.
Like Demi, yeah.
Do you do the apricot trick?
I think Lion would like to see that one.
Find something?
When I think about my mom and my dad, I think of how supportive that they've been. I mentioned this the other night, in that I've made a number of vocational changes in my life, that they've always been there supporting me, even when I went from teaching and I went into ministry, which was not something that they were really excited about. They supported me in that. I think in some ways I've appreciated them more since they've been grandparents because of the relationship that they have with Rosemary and with the kids, and how much we look forward to having them come, and the affection that they have with the grandkids and the interest that they've taken with them. And whenever we call and the kids are excited to talk to Grandma and Grandpa and find out how they're doing, and you're excited to find out what's going on with the kids, that's been real special. To be able to come here from somebody from Minnesota in the middle of the winter, it's the second time we've gone to a warm climate, and the other time was 6 years ago in San Diego, La Jolla, and we have great memories of that trip as well. And one thing for Emily was she was so young at that point, she was a year and a half, that she couldn't go to Disneyland, and this year she made that. Just to see Uncle Lester again, it's been a number of years, and the fact that David and Farzaneh had not seen Emily, this is special, and to see Nassim, and to see friends of yours that we've heard about, to see Mark and his family. It's been a real special time for us. So,
This may not happen again.
Well,
I'm glad it did happen.
Let's plan an 80th birthday for Dad.
Well, I think we should toast Uncle Lester, the happiest of birthdays.
Yes.
That you're with us, and we can all be together. And to Dad, we want to include Dad since he didn't get a special birthday. We love you all very much.
Break any glass.
I can't.